may proceed with your lecture this morning regarding the law and society. Yeah, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You can start, Professor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Destama. Okay. Assalamualaikum. A very good morning. Today's topic is quite important, and I see also my schedule. Today will be the last lecture for me on law and society. Okay. I think I covered almost two topics previously, and last topic today I want to discuss with you regarding law and society, but how the law can give the society rights, meanings, rights for development. Because I do believe that in many countries, especially third world countries, developing countries, we are more talking about human rights, but we lack of one thing that we always forget. We always forget about the right for the citizen to develop. Develop means not only they have the human rights for them, but it's for them to have all the facilities and upgrade their lifestyle according to the economy of a country. We always look like, for example, like we say, well, Indonesia is a very rich country. Indonesia have minerals, gas, petrol, you name it, because your country is so huge and big. But we have one issue that I always want to bring to all of ASEAN country, how far that all the income or resources of the country can give the prosperity or the right for all the citizens, especially to get advancement or to have more advancement in their life. Meaning, we're not only talking about the poverty. Poverty is another issue. We're talking about the rights to choice for the people and the right to buy. Meaning, we ask about how human capital in that country can be more advancement by this kind of resources. This is very important because do we have a law that can enact or practice to give all the income or the resources of a country to all the people equally? This is the issue in Malaysia because as you understand that in Malaysia, under our constitution is very clear that we have a special privilege to the Malay people as an indigenous or original people in Malaysia before the Chinese and Indian come brought by British. So we don't want to lose that. So when we want to independence, one of the article that need to insert in that constitution is we must protect the privilege for Malay people, indigenous people, and indigenous in Sabah and Sarawak, regardless their religion, they need to be protected first in terms of quota to the university. They must have a big quota to university to this group. Second, to do business. We always have a special lane for the Bumi Putras, we call it, to go for the tender or to any project by the government. And also for the business, whether it's small and medium industries or also any type of business that privileges must be give to this, and it's being said under Article 153 of Malaysian Constitution. So this is the issue in Malaysia at this moment after 63 years independence. The non-Malays or non-Bumi Putras question the relevant and the accuracy of this policy because we actually, even though we have a constitution insert that, but still after independence until 1969, when we have of election, we have the bloodshed or the racial tension between Malay and Chinese. This is a very black history for Malaysia because 13 May 1969, um, when the Chinese under the Democratic Action Party win the election uh, in major city in Malaysia at that time, they start to chanting the racist and also words that really put down the Bumi Putras. So majority Malays feel that you are still a pendatang, or you are just, people that are being brought by British to help with the economy, and you are not original in this land. How could you do that to us? So it's a really tragedy, the bloodshed in all our Malaysia, until we have to declare emergency. And for 2 years during that particular time, Malaysia do not have I can say do not have elected government, but it's under Yang di-Pertuan Agong with this a few cabinet member that's selected by him. We call it Magran, which is the temporary government, but advised by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. So during these 2 years, the government said, if we don't introduce the policy of the new economic policy, majority of the indigenous people or Malay people or Bumi Putras are not going to have motivate or any, I can say they're not going to compete same level with the non-Malays, especially the Chinese, because the Chinese is already being put by the British at the big city and are being programmed to handle the economy. So this is something that, we have a majority of Malays, but the economic handled by Chinese. So it's really a tension, a racial tension. So we're back to this situation after more than 45 years. We still can see that our policy are not that really help these Bumi Putras. Despite we have the law, and in fact, despite we have this being stated under Constitution. So I want to bring this issue because I do believe that maybe in Indonesia you do not have this kind of clause under your constitution, but as big countries in this modern time, not only Indonesia but also Malaysia, how far our government actually using the resources of a country to develop the country, to make sure the people reach certain percentage or certain level of the development, not only human development, but also facility that everyone can enjoy it. I want to take only like first, the budget of a country. Is it our country budget every year that table at the parliament is actually really comes or goes to the people that we really put into it? Because like in Malaysia, we must get the 2/3 majority of the parliament member to agree with the budget of the parliament. I mean, the budget at the table at the parliament. If 2/3 majority cannot get, meanings that the government will be in a trouble. Okay, I can say that now until today, the budget that being tabled at the government by these prime ministers last month are still not get any approval by this parliament member. This is not good, because if they don't approve it, we're going to have a very big challenges for 2021. For example, we're not going to get a payment for the civil servant, or the payment to the vendors, contractors for the development of a country cannot be paid. And many of the economic sectors like health or GLC also can be affected very much from this. So we are actually because as you know that the government in Malaysia are not that strong, because the present government are not, it's like from so many parties, and not go through this election after the 2018 election. So this is like a political turmoil actually at this moment, but we managed to overcome it because we want to put the economy and the people as number one. But the things that I want to discuss with you is about how far that our government actually accommodate the resources, the income for the resources to bring a development to the country, and not only certain people or certain group of the people that enjoy that, but almost all. First is the health, right to health. In our constitution, which is the supreme of law, is a constitution, is really say that we really give a free healthcare to all the citizens. Free, I mean here not 100% free, meaning if you go to the government hospital or clinic, you do not have to pay like you as if that you go to the private clinic or private hospital, which is much higher because of private. Maybe you normally if you want to go to get any, you feel you have a fever and you go to the government clinic, because we have a government clinic at every district, and a hospital depends on the locality and also the how many people living there. So normally we having a hospital where for example I can say that's around on my house, we have already one private hospital, and the income of people around this area majority is middle 40 and T20. So we not really ask the government to have the government hospital in our area, because we still can accommodate with the private sector, with the private hospital and also private clinic because of the income. But for certain areas, they will build a very huge hospital to cover certain area and certain locality. So this is we look into it. For example, if I want to go to the hospital just because I have a fever, I go to the government hospital, I only have to pay RM1. I pay RM1 and I get all the doctors, but I need to wait because the patient is many. So I have to come early in the morning to get my numbers, and then the doctor also very limited. So since that the income of our people are getting much higher, because of the economy, because of the advancements and technology and all that, people are choose to have I can say medical cards. So where you pay every month according to your policy. If you want to cover all the illness, then you have to pay a little bit high. But if you want to cover only certain illness, you have to pay on certain payment, because they have the rate on that. So if you do these things, meaning many of the people in Malaysia, they love to have medical card, because they don't want to line up too long, queue too long at the government hospital. And always the perception of the normal people that government hospital are not that good, despite actually is wrong. There are many government hospitals good. The only thing is there's so many people. So for those who don't want to wait for too long, so better have a medical card and go for the private clinic or private hospital that covered by the card. Then you enjoy this all those treatment by the doctor nicely. So that is to show when the government bring the good economic, then the certain sector can have the increase the salary. Now what we're facing at this moment is too many people unemployed, and certain industries just love to have the migrants workers to do, especially in the industry. So it really sometimes at this moment not help the locals. So the locals quite angry, with the government, because they say why you want to give priority to the immigrants at this moment, whereas our people are still do not have a job. The problem is people in Malaysia are still choosing a job, because if they are graduate, they don't want to work in a factory. They don't want to work in a factory, and they demand that they don't want to have this kind of scale of salary. So this is make the employers feel more better to employ the immigrants, because the immigrants is like they will happy to get what they have, and they will feel very happy with it. So I think this is where the conflict in my country, when we're talking about law and society, is how the advancement, how the resources of a country can give more development to the people, but how far the people, all the people, can get or can feel the prosperity of that. This is something that I think many developing countries always forget, because we are still having a corruption. We're still having a problem with the people are not having integrity. The politicians who are still giving to their families, their cronies, and practice nepotism in especially the government project. One thing that I always I critique the third world government is, including my government, is when they don't want to have the procurement system. The procurement system is, you need to be very clear. You need to have a law that stated that every government project, you need to have the book, or to prove that the particular company doesn't have any relationship with the ministers or his family, even relative. But I think it's a very hard to do that in Malaysia because we practice that thing for so long. And we know that if you want to get the government project, you need to give money to certain people to ensure that your proposal being looked by the ministers. And to make it worse, sometimes we ask the government to, just as our politician, to write a appreciation letter to say that your company is very good, blah, 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 and then you will submit together with all your tenders to the Ministry of Finance as a ministry that govern all those government projects. So I being asked in one Malaysian television, one of the talk show, that is it an appropriate practice? For the politician with me at that time, they said it's an appropriate, it's okay if you have got the appreciation letter by the politician towards your company. So it makes that the government servant have to look. He said must look to your company, and I really disagree with that, because I don't believe that someone can write an appreciation letter, don't get any percent from the government, from the company. For example, if my company got the minister's accreditation or something like that, then of course before he signed on my company or operation, he issue an appreciation letter to my company. He said, okay, if you get this project, how much percentage that you want to give to me? This is the problem. So we don't go to the merit of the company. We go to how big the cable of the company have with the ministers of the politician. So this is what makes our society practicing cronyism and bribes. We feel that it's no wrong to take a bribes, because if you don't give a bribes, you cannot get what you want, especially that you have a company, you need to pay for your workers, your staff. So if you don't have this, then how you want to sustain? So this is why the topic today is quite challenging, because I saw a few problem within third world countries, especially when it's come to this kind of practice. Because I think we must have certain issues that I guess we need to address very carefully when it's come to this kind of scenario. Many people do not want many peoples are not many peoples are feel that this isn't a practice, this is okay to have that, but for me it's not okay. I do believe that certain practice done by the third world country is actually not good for the development. So when it's not good for the development, it will give the disparity of income amongst the citizens. So that's why I can say that during this COVID, actually, is you can see positive of the COVID come, despite your life are not free, you have so many, restrictions and all that. But one thing I look at it, it's more or less, that you can see the transparent of the practice before, because during the COVID, when you see that everything are being restricted and we have so much time to overcome and look at certain matters of a country, then we found out that we have done so many wrong in the past, especially when it's come to the award of the tenders, award of the project of a government to certain companies. So, and we can also see that how many of our politicians involved in the government's project, which is not good. I don't know in Indonesia, but in many developing countries that I went to see that how far the law in the country can give the prosperity to the people, I found out in ASEAN country, majority in ASEAN country, there is an involvement of the politician in the government project. So what kind of law that we can have here? If you don't mind if I ask that, how you are talking about the prosperity for people. Every time you go for the election, you're talking about we want to advance life, we want to give a development, we want to make sure that our people are getting more better life. But at the same time, the project of the government that is supposed to be more transparent and being awarded to the company with merits are not being done. That's why we're having the problem of unskilled workers. We got a problem of the people who do not achieve the 21st century skill that, especially during this COVID time, we need a high technology. Then we realize that even our country are not get the full internet cover. Can you imagine? If not of this COVID, we not realize it. We know, but we choose to neglect. Because for us, like, it's okay, sooner or later, people will overcome it. But when we have to start online class, and many of the poor people cannot access, then there is a research by UNICEF and a few universities. We found out that only 9% of our children over the country having the smartphone or the tab or the computers to have the online school. This is not good. Not to mention about the student have to climb up the trees to get the more internet line. This is not the picture of 21st century. But because of COVID, then we realize that we get a lack of the technology. Okay, Malaysia are not the fastest internet in Southeast Asia. I think Thailand is the best. Singapore is the best, followed by Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So we always make a joke, we always like that. What's wrong with us? We need this. And I appreciate that many of my friends at the Faculty of Education, they urge the government to give more free data to the parents, especially the B40 family, to have more free data and also can give more smartphone or use tab that which is still in a good condition to all these families, so then the kids still can go on with the studies. The problem that we face is among 5 of the kids who are living in poverty in Malaysia during the COVID, when we ask them whether they want to come back to school, only 4 say yes, 1 say no. First, lack of infrastructure. Second, lack of motivation. 3, the poverty itself hindered them to feel that, they see that when the COVID come, their parents lost their job because they are just a labor group, or they have a daily wages. So their income is really magra, and really I can say it's like you get morning, you can eat morning, you get the evening, you eat evening. So this is the particular things that make this one among 5 children who are living under the poverty line in Malaysia say they don't want to go back to school. So can you imagine that if we make the percentage, how many of these children were lost in transition? Whereas we are talking about the 21st century advancement, we're talking about after this, the skill of the graduate are no more local, are no more normal. They need to understand about the what is the whole world needs. For example, the superpower US and China versus, so what is the best in the international economy? What is the best for the country? We are talking more advanced, but at the same time, to give the very basic to our children, we fail. That's why we have the adequate law that can give everyone the rights. That's why today's topic, I bring something that quite heavy. I know that it's Monday, but I think for my last lecture on this topic, I need to wake you up and make you to think early in the morning. Maybe because all of you, your family are doing well, you not feel that. But for those who come from the poor family, to go to university is just a dream. Despite there is scholarship and so on, still they not manage to be there, because how come they want to sustain during their study time? Because the scholarship is not enough. And to make it worse, the scholarship also is just a loan, and they have to pay back after they graduated. How to pay the loan if you don't get a good salary after graduation? We got about 500,000 our Malaysian graduate who's unemployed. What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with our education system? What's wrong with our educators? What's wrong with the government who failed to look into this? I'd love to know the situation in Indonesia, because I'm talking about the situation in Malaysia that need to be addressed. If ASEAN want to challenge or want to be the best as European Union, I know that we're not going to achieve that, but it's not impossible. But how far we want to give the development gaps, because one of the topic that I will talk during my summer sessions with the your summer program, one of it is about the I think on 26th I will talk about the development gaps in ASEAN. So I will talk more on this on that particular session, but I want to give you a wake-up call in the morning about how you can see that which government in the third world countries is actually really bring the resources of a country, the income from the resource of a country to develop their people, and that development are really giving an impact to the citizens' lifestyle, especially the way of thinking. The problem with the third world is still the way of thinking. Why we are hindered to go like the first world country? Because we are still hindered by the hidden agenda of the political agenda, the religious agenda, and also the orthodox or the way of thinking that backwards. I don't want to mention about the country like Pakistan or Bangladesh or any Middle East country who are still, trapped between the modern lifestyle, and how they are still trapped with what is the traditional and cultural practice. So that one is worse. That one is another venue. But I'm talking about today about how we can look at the action of our government to give the prosperity to people. That is a very significant for me, because if you fail to give, then you can't be a good government, and we need to reject this kind of government. The good government is to look what is the need of the people and what is the really their need of the people at this time of COVID. So what's law that you have to give a prosperity to the people when they lost their job? What is the long-term project or plan that you want to give to your people? When people at the age of like me, 45 years old, then you lost your job, what you can do? You already manager level of your work and you lost your job at the age of 45. Tell me who want to take you into the company? Don't. For them, it's better to take a new people, the young graduates, so they can give more cheaper salary to this to the young people, because the young people don't have a choice. Young people have to take it. So I think that's what's happened in Malaysia. So this is for me a very important to be addressed this morning. This is why I believe that this COVID is, if you look at the negative way, they can always be negative. But for me, I try to bring positive vibe to my research regarding development, because that is my niche. I found out that many of the government actually do not practice a good government before COVID. So when COVID times come and we have a time to review back all our laws, regulation, and guideline, we found out that we did very much mistake at the past. That's why I said that how our government can ensure the people's satisfaction when we choose them as a government. Or are we actually end up like we don't have a choice? We're just talking about the, okay, less evil among all of them. I always believe that way. I always believe that the politicians are all evil, no matter how good they are, how portray they are, feel that even if they are from the religious party, for me, as long you are in a politics, that's all, that's all useless. The more you're talking about religion in a politics, the more I don't want to believe you. This is my personal ideas. I don't know in Indonesia, because I do believe that when you involve in a politics, what kind of law that you follow, where you actually do not want to take advantage from your position. I don't believe it, because I've seen in Malaysia, the more you talk about the religion, the more actually you're talking about how you want to increase your salary, how you want to get a new car because you are MPs. So I think that ridiculous, and it's happened during the COVID time. So I always have my belief that the party with the using the religion symbol is never can go with me, because I saw the reality. See, this is how I I want to bring your idea, at least in the morning, for you to think, or to just give an idea what happened in Indonesia, or maybe you can also share with me maybe your experience looking this kind of problem in other country, because I do believe that you travel. So you can ask me any question that I think is quite heavy discussion this morning, but it's okay, because we are talking about law and the society. So what type of law that protect the society? What type of law that our government practice to give us more prosperity in our life? So I'm gonna stop here, but I want to see that is there any question that we can discuss more and I can elaborate more. So I hope there is a question from the student. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. What a great lecture for this morning. So, students, if you have any question, you can directly ask Professor Salawati or write down your question on the chat section.
Oh, they just can ask me directly. I think it's more easy. It's
Yeah.
easy for you also, Dr. Diastama. So let them ask by themselves.
Yeah.
I want to see
Yeah.
their face. I want to see
Yeah.
their face.
Yeah. Okay, so you can ask Dr. Salawati directly, students, if you have any question. Zara, yeah, you can proceed with your question.
Okay, so I'd like to ask about, I think like all the discussion we are only like talk about the government. I just want to know like what can we do as the citizen, because like we can only help we need to help them too, right? Like, but we cannot do anything about it because like it's actually from the government. So I think us like as the person, I mean like we want to help. So in your opinion, what can we do to help them, like the refugees? Thank you.
Okay, if you're talking about you're talking about how the minority groups, right? Okay, that's why I think that when we are not the party to the 1951 conventions on the refugees, it's very hard for us to bring the matters, because you don't have any responsibility towards them, uh, and their life is in limbo. I'm talking about in Malaysia per se. They are not they are under the category of illegal immigrants. So can you imagine, they are not migrant workers, they are come because the status what happened in their country, so they need protection. But in our law, we don't recognize them. We make them fall in the category of illegal immigrant under our immigration act. So that makes them vulnerable to the authority to be arrested and also to be deported. But where do you want to deport them? So it's end up that many of the Rohingyas, especially now, Rohingya are not being liked by Malaysian. I can say the sentiment. After certain incident, Malaysian people are not happy with Rohingya, whereas Rohingya actually the make up majority of refugees in Malaysia. So people are not happy with them. People don't want them to come to Malaysia again. So it's give a more difficult for the innocent refugees. I understand not all Rohingyas are bad, but because of a bad group, it makes the good one live in terrified or in worry because of the stigma and also the perception of a Malaysian people. And I have to say that Malaysian people are not get used with the international law. We are not that too much internet. We are very protectionist country. We are very local. So we are more look on ourselves rather than international issue. So this is a very difficult for work like me, because I'm from international line, and to give awareness to my people that hey, these people are actually come not because they want to take our job. No, they want a protection. We have to work on it. But if you say that, you've been critiqued, you've been condemned. So I get used with this kind of thing. So for me, as long that we do not be a party, or we do not have mechanism to handle this group, the refugee or the asylum seekers group, they will still live in limbo and they will have a difficulties every day in their life in our country. That I can say.
Okay, thank you, Prof, for the answer.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Zara. Please. Well, we have to wait some more minutes, Professor, because maybe it's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday morning.
That's why I was like, because I think um this is the best venue, because I think somehow rather we are just learn from the textbook. We never want to
Yeah.
take it something. I mean, maybe lecturers like us, we get used with the things, we know because we are the one who teach and do the research. But for the student, if you have failed to address this, I think they will go out and they'll become part of the statistic. We feel that that is okay, because I as I said to you, I just recall back my previous lecture, when I can say that after the study conduct by certain researchers from certain university in Malaysia to ask all the student university in Malaysia opinion about bribes, we are so surprised to see that 57% of the students say it's okay to give and take the bribe. I think that is a very bad sign for the country, because the young people say it's okay if I'm taking the bribe, and it's okay also to give as long as our matters can solve amicably. So this is where I guess is wrong somewhere. That's why I said, who teach them to say that it's okay? And I think that I want also to bring your attention about the many of our immigration officer lately. I think last week become a hot topic in my country, because they are involved with the international syndicate to help the illegal immigrants to come to Malaysia without visa. This is a very, very, for me, tremendously, uh, I can say, action that very dangerous to the country, done by the government servant. And they work together with the international syndicate to bring people from Indonesia, from Bangladesh, from around the world to come to Malaysia without visa. And that's very dangerous to the security of the country, and also for them to run way back from Malaysia to their country by knowing who's who at the airport. So I think this is something that the importance of the security, when I'm not sure in Indonesia, but I think if this kind of frontliners of our country that's supposed to protect the nation interest and also sovereignty do like this, what else what else we can have in the future if we don't uh, stop this kind of attitudes among them. So I think that's why I bring this topic today. But I also understand that the students, like, maybe they're still thinking that how they want to get used with the things
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Okay, students, is there any question for Professor Salawati regarding the topics? Okay, Professor, we have a question at the chat section. Hello, Professor, I'm Ardra. I would like to ask, as you stated, say that it's not good idea to incorporate religion with politics, but in a country where religion is still held high in Indonesia, it is almost impossible to move away from religion. Politicians need to be religious to gain popularity. Politicians are almost obliged to be religious here. I mean, he's mean like in Indonesia. What are your thoughts about that? Thank you, Professor.
Can I say something that not good this morning? I don't believe this. For me, that's kind of thing actually bullshit. You know why? Because we, especially like Malaysia, Indonesia, where religion become the backbone of the society, we are being indoctrinated since more that whoever picture themselves as a very religious, they will go to the heaven. These people need to be respected. You cannot question their action. This is, I don't agree. And many people in Malaysia, if you say like this, they will say that you are liberal. Be careful. Liberalism and the religious things is a two contradict things. But I'm talking in the perspective of politics. I'm telling you, when you be in politics, you have to be corrupt. How you corrupt can be? First, even though, for example, I take myself, because this student asked me, it's the same in Malaysia. I can see that if you are from the Islamic party, despite you doing that something that injustice to your people, you are still being praised by all your die-hard fans. They say, no, it's okay, because what they are trying to say is they want to bring a good to the people. For me, it's like this. When you go to the politics, you need money. You need money. Why? You cannot just give your saliva to your people. Your people, when you become a minister, they want something from you because they are really following you. They are make sure your political status or your political position to that extent. So for them, hey, Salawati, you are nobody before, and now you are in the politics. We help you. We introduce you to the people who can finance you. Normally, the group of the politician always be good friend with the businessman, which is the corporate, because the corporate will supply the money to this politician. So when the politician become a minister, the corporate will ask back, what you can give it to me. So you think the people with this kind of religious symbol for their party, they're not involved in this kind of thing. They do by giving a lodging permits to the company. So you see, the environment pollution, the water pollution, this one from who? I don't want to talk this thing much. You can Google and see how this thing happened in Malaysia. But I want to bring you to this subject because I think that the problem with us in the third world country is, especially to the Muslims, is cannot question people who religious, cannot question people who some sort like cleric. I don't believe that. I believe that you can question the cleric on certain actions. I always believe that you are not perfect. You still did a mistake. So you have to admit that if you did a mistake, I'm sorry, the political parties in Malaysia who bring the religious symbol and practice with the scarf, kopiah and all that, they are the one who want to change the car during this COVID. They are the one who increase their salary during this COVID. When the people in the state that choose them are really living in a poor. That's why for me, when I read the newspaper and I see that poor people are come from that particular state, because you see, those people are living in the jungle with the no infrastructure, no facilities. Then I see where the state. If that kind of state they're under this Islamic party, I don't want. I just flip the newspaper. Because why? Because I know it. That's why for me, you choose to with these people because you believe these religious people cannot be questioned. Why don't you change and give it to the liberal people to do? We see how. Because when you're talking about the politician really just using religious to get the popularity, that is a very disgusting for me. Don't bring gods, in your politics. Whereas you also same with the liberal or the non-Muslim party. So what makes you different? You are nothing. For me, when you involve in politics, your tone will be different. You portray yourself because you want people to elect you and portray that, this is the best. But how far these people from this political party, the religious party, can confront and tell this is a thing? No, I don't see any. They all play safe with their appearance. So this is my thought. I don't believe it, and I never want to choose. If I go for the election, never these people can be, I cross for them. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe religious can be bring. I believe the practice of the politician, the good faith, the clean hand that he come to his people, despite which political party that he come, that is matter. because you can see from his habit, his daily life, you know these particular people. They're not going to say, I want to change my Camry to the Mercedes during this COVID. I want to take my salary, 200% rather than before. That's a really cruel, and this cruel using religion. No, sorry with me. So that's my thought. And I see that there is from Muhammad Akbar. Okay, maybe it's not too close with our topic, but I just want to know how is Malaysia attract every doctor during this pandemic, and how is the Malaysian politician situation during the pandemic, Prof. Okay, our frontliners, our doctor are too tired already, especially in Sabah, and now in Klang Valley, Selangor is high. So we give special allowance to the frontliner who's involved with COVID, which is nurse, assistant, health assistant, doctors. We give them special allowance during this COVID because they are changing their life. They're facing death with all those kind of patient. So the government say that if you don't give any incentive to them, then how we want to get over it? Because we are lack of doctors, we are lack of nurse, yes. And I think that this is how, like for example, in Sabah, the situation is a dire need before. So we bring doctors from Peninsular Malaysia with a special package where they can get certain allowance, not that much, but to cover, to feel, to make sure that they are being motivated, because as you say that doctors, you cannot value their work. If you want to value their work, you have to pay the millions, because they daily with this virus, is they open themselves. And how many of the doctors and also the nurse that went to Sabah also infected by the coronavirus? So I think the government cannot give so much, but the government attract every doctor to this pandemic is we take more contract doctors. We bring more allowances, especially for those who deal with COVID-19, and we also try to give them a practical time. But as a doctor, they always live in stress. So that's the situation. How in Malaysia we attract the doctor during the pandemic, and how is the Malaysian politics situation during this pandemic? As I said to you, we have a government who are crack. For me, it's a crack, not that strong, but at least can do to continue every daily things for the Malaysia, but it's not that strong. I can say that, and that's why I think people, as the politician among them, also they have their own game to play. Everyone at this moment are talking about who going to be the prime minister, and everyone want to be the prime ministers. So the very important is how strong is the present government at this moment. If they do not have a strong tie among them, I can see that the government will lose. So we'll lose. We don't have a choice whether we have to refer back to the Yang Pertuan Agong, or we have the election. But I don't think so. We're going to have an election because of the COVID. So it will bring a political turmoil to Malaysian politics, and it is not good because the economy depends on the politics. If the politics are not strong, investment don't want to come, because they want to put the money. That's why I think the present government try their best to keep their position very strong and to listen to what the people want. Despite not many people like them, but they know it. But for them now is a time to against the COVID. So I can see that some ministers are functioned in their position. Some are useless because I don't hear anything from them, and they don't have the interaction with people. Because as a citizen, I want to see my ministers come up with the ideas and what they can do. But I fail to see this in many of my ministers. I have to be frank, because I think if you put a very good ministers, you can see what they do. I see many ministers, they come up with like Malaysian foreign affairs ministers, our finance ministers. This is all the name that every day try, our federal territory ministers. This is the people that try to listen and try to bring people to the reality and what they face. The others are just quiet. So for me, we don't have the balanced cabinets that can really work together on it. My critique is because I want to see how. So I can see that the prime ministers are very carry the heavy task because of the cabinet are not stable, and he himself like try to neutral the situation. So it's a very challenging time for Malaysia, this I can say, our politics now.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Professor. Students, is there any more question? There is question from Scholastica, Professor.
Okay.
Good morning, Professor. I would like to ask question. Indonesia has yet to ratify 1951 Refugee Convention and its counterpart, 1967 Protocol. Thus, the government authorized the UNHCR to carry out its refugee protection mandate. My question is, why some countries hasn't ratified this convention? What becomes their consideration to ratify this convention? Thank you.
Okay, okay, I know it. The only country that ratified this, if I'm not mistaken, is Philippines. But Philippines, they themselves have refugees. They got all those problems, and they all come to Sabah, Malaysia. Okay, why some country hasn't ratified this convention? Not because this convention is not good. There is so much impact, economic and social, to the country. I take the country, my own country, my own country. I worked regarding immigrants and refugees. It start 2010, yeah. But I think but the thing is, at that time I'm quite idealistic, because I just finished I just settled my PhD, and I start doing this thing on my master's level back in 2006. So I said, why my country are so reluctant to write, to even sign, not ratify, just sign and give a time for us to see whether we should ratify or not. Not even to sign, not even to talk about it. They don't want. So I got a chance back in 2011 during my younger days. I met the ministers of foreign affairs. We have a very, very important meeting that they include the academician at that time. So me and a few lecturers from other universities were doing the same thing. We've been invited. We was together with us was Ministry of Home Affairs, a very important ministry, and then foreign affairs. So we brought up the issue that what's wrong with you guys? Why you don't want to sign? Just sign and give a time for Malaysia to think. Because we have a period that to look whether we should rectify or not, or we just sign. Then I'm quite surprised that Ministers of Home Affairs at that time was telling us straight away, there is no way we will sign that particular convention. You know why? Because if Malaysia signed that, all of the refugees from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Singapore, they don't have, from Philippines, from any part of ASEAN, even Asia Pacific, will be flushed to Malaysia, because when we sign, we must take responsibility to any refugees that come to our soil. The government do not have money to give them protection. First, right for education. Second, right for health. Third, the right to work. This will be a very conflicting, major problem with our locals. Our locals will always say that, why you suddenly take care of foreigners rather than your own people? In Malaysia, the sensitivity like that is a very huge consequences to the government. The government can collapse because of the issues of immigrants and also the refugees. So for past 9 years after that event, last early October, I want to conclude my last research regarding the immigrant workers founded by European Union. So I went to see the number one in immigration regarding the foreign workers. So also a few NGOs. We have all the Zoom and all that. But this particular person I met by myself, face to face with him in his office. And I said, do you have any idea that maybe you are from immigration, migrant section, you are the number one that handle the migrant workers. Do you think that Malaysia in nearby or soon give any intentions about these refugees, the UNCHR or that? No. His answer directly, no, we're not going to touch on it. We're not going to have anything on it. There is nothing we can talk about it. Very fierce. Stop. Because for him, Malaysian government do not have money to protect, especially to give the healthcare and also the education, because we have about 178,000 plus the refugees, and we believe there is more because they not yet get the UNHCR card. So that is the consideration, because once you sign and ratify the 1951 convention, there is no way you turn around. So you have to deal with it, and you have to protect the refugees from all angles, like what UNCHR has already stated. So many countries, especially third world countries, we don't have that. We not have a money, to give them the vocational training. We need our own people to have the vocational training. And I'm sure that that's why the Indonesian government also do not consider this, because you have your own internal issue that need to be, settled before you can talk about it. So do as Malaysia. So there is no chance at this moment or in the future Malaysia can be a party to this 1951 Refugees Convention.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for the answer. Okay, students, is there any more question?
No question.
Okay, so I guess that is the last question for this morning, Professor. You may
Yeah.
conclude with your closing statement for this morning.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for, I think, for have me on this session this morning. And I look at the schedule that this will be the last for the Law and Society. I hope the past 3 sessions with me on the topic of Law and Society, I give something that new to all the students. And I hope that take the good things from the discussion and to enhance our country, to bring your countries to the level that is supposed to be. Because for me, is I'm very clear that I think ASEAN need to be united. ASEAN need to have a good scholars despite where you come from, because we should share the technologies and also the knowledge to enhance the lifestyle, and also to ensure that all of us have or get to the place where we're supposed to. So with this we can ensure that the prosperity for all. So I think that is the best from my part to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. So students, just for your information, Professor Salawati will give a lecture at 10 a.m. So if you want to join regarding the refugee, Professor. So if you want to join,
Yes.
yeah, if you want to join, you can join the session at 10 a.m. Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful lecture for this morning. So see you at 10 a.m., Professor. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Okay. Thank you, welcome. Sama-sama.